Hello everyone, Rurikhan here, coming at you with a video about The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. And this particular video is mostly because I was really surprised by Witcher 3 at E3. And the reason for that is because, I've been a Witcher fan. That hasn't really been, that's probably not something new for you guys. I played the second Witcher all the way through. I never really played the first one all the way through because I tried doing a playthrough, but unfortunately, it never really did, like, how should I put this? It never really did take off, which was quite unfortunate. Because I was really enjoying it, but it's just like the effort that I was putting into it for the amount of views that I was getting was just not worth it. But when I got to E3, one of the things that I actually saw, as a matter of fact, I think this was on the last day, if I'm not mistaken. You guys can check my E3 trip log adventure thingy, because somewhere in there I will tell you exactly when it was that I had a chance to go and watch the presentation of Witcher 3. And I really liked what I saw, because here's the thing: I did not do a whole lot of research on Witcher 3, so I wasn't really prepared for anything in particular. And what they showed me at the presentation just completely blew me away. Okay, so first thing, your character has aged quite a bit. Like, Geralt looks a lot older than he does in The Witcher 2, which I think is cool, because I like the kinds of games that don't go about doing like prequels and all that stuff. Sure, some games prequels are fine, and right now I'm having a hard time think of any of those prequels that I've actually liked, but whatever. In some games prequels are fine, but it's like, as a rule of thumb, I really like a game that just kind of keeps going forward, which has been the case in Witcher. It's like Witcher 1 is before Witcher 2, Witcher 2 is after Witcher 1, and Witcher 3 is going to be after Witcher 2. So that's something that I can appreciate. So starting right up, let me just get the whole graphics thing out of the way. The game just looks amazing. Okay, like, you're looking at this game, they were playing it on a PC during the presentation, and just everything looks drop dead gorgeous. Okay, I'm not even kidding. Everything was just really good looking. The graphics weren't insane. The animations were also really, really good. As a matter of fact, they were a great improvement over The Witcher 2, in my opinion. There's also a lot more character detail and facial expressions. And in case you guys are wondering why I keep looking over there, it's because, like, all my notes are over here. So just like trying to, because I can't memorize all this stuff. Let's be honest here. Okay. I need to take notes, and then from notes, I make the videos. So, and also the combat is very cinematic in terms of, just the animation style and all that stuff. I really enjoyed this particular combat. So the background story, even though I'm not going to go too much into the story itself, the background story, simply because a lot of people will see, like, oh, it's called The Wild Hunt, which means that Geralt is going to be hunting something. No, not at all. The Wild Hunt is actually a ghastly, dark, and deadly force. Well, that's what I have written down, whatever the hell that means. But it is basically, it's a force. It's a faction of enemies that you will be hunting down and supposedly killing, I'm going to assume. I'm not sure, because honestly, the story is not the one thing that really concerned me, because I thought the story of The Witcher 2 was just so friggin' amazing. I really loved it. So the story is not really something that I'm too concerned with. I'm more concerned with all the other aspects. How's the game going to play? What are we going to have to do? Do we still have the choices? That was the kind of stuff that I was really concerned with. Now, this time around, the story will actually center around Geralt's personal journey, or this is what they tell us during the presentation. There are still going to be a lot of dialogues and choices, just like The Witcher 2, and that's something that is really cool, because I've just been reading through this, what do they call this, the fact sheet. And in the fact sheet, they actually, basically, for starters, the game is going to be open world, okay? And in this open world game that you have, it's like everything is going to be handcrafted. So the conditions of everything throughout the world of Witcher 3 are going to be changing. So things like, for instance, if you have a village, and let's say that particular village is close to sea, and that particular village, buying fish is going to be cheaper than, say, if you go further inland, because the resource is not so readily available. Therefore, fish is going to be more expensive. But for instance, maybe they will have more things that they can hunt for leather and skins and stuff like that. And which means that most likely leather crafting will be easier. You might find more leather working recipes, stuff like that. So, like the whole world of Witcher 3 is revolving around this thing. And like every single action that you take upon this world is going to have consequences. Now, the consequences might be really bad. They might be really good. Like, for instance, you can go to a fishing village and kill a whole bunch of those monsters that they call them drowners. And basically the fishing village will prosper more because there's no longer any drowners around. Another example that they give is, for instance, let's say you know of a merchant who is associated with a whole bunch of merchants in other towns. Let's say you go to one of those towns, kill one of those merchants, and then the other merchants will actually suffer and slowly go bankrupt because one of their supply lines is dead. That's the kind of impactfulness that you have. And not only that, because I mean, I'm just talking about stuff that's going to affect the world, but obviously there's going to be stuff that will affect the world on a lot more deeper, in a lot more deeper ways. Now, I really don't want to spoil any of the game, which I feel that some of the stuff that they've shown us in the presentation do spoil at least one of the side quests of the game, as well as spoil one of the monsters in the game. And I really, really don't want to do that. And let me just, if you guys trust me at all, let me just tell you, seriously, do not watch places where they discuss the presentation too much in depth. And I'm not just saying this like, oh, watch me instead. No, I'm just saying, seriously, do not look up too much in-depth information because I have a feeling that you guys might actually be spoiled a little bit. And this is one of those games that I feel that you guys will not want to be spoiled for anything because the whole premise of the game just looks like it's going to be friggin' amazing. So like I said, choice and consequence. Depending on the choices that you make throughout the game, you will have either some immediate consequences or some further up ahead consequences, like kind of deal. For instance, during the presentation, they showed us what would happen to a specific village after a certain decision that we made, and let's just say it was pretty cool because like our actions really did pretty much change that village forever. Now, on top of that, also each village in the world and each little city and whatnot, it's like it's actually alive and it actually reacts to everything that's happening around it. Now, I know that I keep saying this word like reacts. Everything is dynamic. Everything like continues to evolve regardless of whether you're there or not. And it's exactly the way it is. At least this is what they told us during the presentation. Like, for instance, you go into a village, right? And like everybody is going about their daily lives, doing their daily things and whatever. Like someone will be at a shop selling goods. Other people will be fishing. Other people will be hunting. Like people will actually defend themselves from monsters. Like villages will actually organize themselves and fend off beasts supposedly while Geralt is someplace else and he can't go to save that village. And like maybe he'll come back later and find that village completely ravaged because you did not take a side quest to go and kill monsters or something. And the fact that you made that decision of not doing that particular side quest basically caused that village to just get overrun and people died, or people will even migrate to fit their needs. This says over here in this fact sheet thing, so they have to stick to it. They just have to. And it got me really excited, like the whole concept of the game itself. And I realized that this is not necessarily something that CD Projekt Red is like pioneering. Like a lot of games have said that they're doing this, like for instance Skyrim and whatnot. It's just Skyrim is just, for whatever reason, is not some kind of game that really resonated with me. I still can't figure out why. I still plan to eventually go back and play it. But anyways, going back to the whole Witcher 3 thing. So you're going to have the same kind of dialogues that you had in The Witcher 2. You're going to have the same kind of choices as well, which are going to permeate throughout the game. There's also going to be constant side quests, and those will be connected to the main storyline so that it seems like you're actually having this seamless adventure. So like you'll go somewhere and instead of actually, looking up someone with an exclamation mark on top of his head or whatever, like the whole story seems to be connected. Like you will go to places and things will just kind of happen, and you can either like stick to your whatever your main quest is, or you can help out in certain side quests that will be presented for you. And the way that the way that they showed it to us in the presentation, it almost seemed like the side quest that they showed us it almost looked like it was a part of the main quest. Like you had the same type of dialogues, you had the same type of quality voice acting that you could expect from a main quest. You had the same type of like objectives that you have. You need to go here, you need to do this, you need to do this thing, you need to do that thing, you know? And it just, I don't know how to explain it. And also it's like you can just go off and explore if that's your thing. Like if you just want to go instead of following on the beaten path and all that stuff, you can just go off and explore and hunt monsters and do other crazy stuff. Also, the monsters do not actually scale with you. Now, whether or not this is a good thing or a bad thing will very much depend on your personal taste as a gamer. Because, I mean, obviously, if monsters don't scale with you, there will be certain monsters that you will just not be able to kill because they're just going to one-shot you straight up. However, once you level up enough, you will then be able to go and hunt those monsters down because you will be obviously of a higher level. So that's the way that they decide to do it. Whether or not it's going to be good, and to be completely honest, I'll have to check it out for myself before I can actually say whether or not that is a good thing. Let's see, more stuff. A lot of the choices that you're going to make through dialogues and whatnot are going to be some morally hard choices. Like, trust me, the one choice that they showed in the presentation, it was pretty morally challenging. I can tell you that much. And yeah, everything affects the world. Yeah, I already talked about that. Let's see. Okay, so in regards to the whole open world aspect of Witcher 3, according to what they told us in the presentation, it's going to be 35 times bigger than the Witcher 2. Now, Witcher 2, I mean, I'm not going to say that it was huge, because the thing about the Witcher 2 is that each area, like, they weren't really like super big areas, okay? There were beautiful areas, all that stuff, but you would have like these invisible barriers almost, let's put it like that. It's like, oh, there's a little bit of a ledge, and your character would have to go up the ledge. You would actually have to like press a button and whatnot. So it wasn't like very seamless, if you know what I mean, on The Witcher 2, because I mean, areas were separated and warded off and whatnot, depending on which map you would go to. So I think you guys get the idea. There was a lot more invisible walls. Let's just put it like that. I felt there were a lot more invisible walls in The Witcher 2. Now, this one seems like it's going to be a lot more open. You can also basically visit and travel everything that you see in the world. Like if you see a huge set of mountains up ahead of you, you will most likely be able to go ahead and investigate those mountains. There's going to be, I believe, 3 huge continents. Let me see what it says here. The world of Witcher 3 is vast and continuous, yet diverse, with each of its lands distinguishable by unique feel inspired by different sources and cultural references. So, for instance, you have No Man's Land, a sparsely populated, war-ravaged territory based on Slavic mythology. You're going to have murky swamps and dark primeval forests cover this land, where monsters lurk behind every tree and no one can be sure whether they will see another sunrise. Okay, this seems like a good place. Then there's also Skellige, a windswept and rugged archipelago based on Nordic and Celtic legends and sagas. And then there's also going to be Novigrad, a port city inspired by medieval Amsterdam. I mean, this is just examples. I thought they would say like all the... I thought they were going to say like all the continents that you're going to be able to access, but they really don't. Also, something very important is, if you guys remember, I was just talking about how The Witcher 2, it almost felt like you had a lot of invisible walls, and you had a lot of places like little ledges that your character would have to climb through to actually get to the next zone and whatnot, thus like making these, I don't know, just kind of like segregating all these zones and whatnot. Well, in the new one, basically what they say is wide open roaming across regions is unspoiled by load times. So there's not going to be any load times in between regions. You're going to be just fine when it comes to that. Landscape dotted with points of interest tempt players to venture off beaten paths in search of possible adventure. The world provides an unprecedented feeling of open space and freedom. But then again, these could just be like marketing buzzwords or whatever. But in order to go through this open world, some things that they've shown us during the presentation was you're going to be able to horse ride, whatever. You're going to be able to ride a horse. That's the point. You're going to be able to ride a horse. You're going to be able to run, walk. I mean, you can choose for yourself which either way that you want to navigate the terrain. And they also said that it is. I'm not hugely familiar with Witcher lore, but they said that according to the Witcher books, that Geralt is supposed. Geralt or the Witcher's Geralt, I think it's Geralt. According to the Witcher books, Geralt is supposed to have a really close relationship with his horse. And I know what you dirty minds of the internet out there are thinking. Come on, let's get real, people. This is a mature RPG with mature content. So, I mean, come on, let's be honest here. It's not going to be that kind of stupid bullshit. I mean, obviously, he had an important relationship with the horse. He called him something, but I don't remember what it was. I did not note it down. But yeah, he had a special name for for every horse that he rode. Like he would call all the horses that he rode like by the same name for whatever reason. But on top of that, so you can run, walk, ride a horse. You can also swim. I don't think that you could swim in The Witcher 2. Pretty sure that you couldn't. But now you can swim, and you can also sail a boat. And the sailing a boat part was pretty cool. It's something that you don't always see. I mean, a lot of RPGs do boats, but I mean, not a lot of them actually let you sail the boat. Like, you could actually control the boat like a means of transportation. You would go someplace, pick up a boat, take the boat, and it's like, just sail throughout the sea, and it was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool. Let me see what else we could touch on here. So, like I said, you can travel to everywhere that you see on the map through horse, sea, or whatever. Horse, boat, walk, run, swim. You're going to have the living, breeding villages and cities, like I told you, with people like doing their own thing, fending off monsters if needed be, all that jazz. Independent NPCs. Dynamic day-night cycle. So there's going to be a day-night cycle in the game, which is interesting because this is actually going to affect you from a gameplay standpoint. Like, for instance, you probably don't want to be fighting werewolves during a full moon because they will be at the climax of their power, let's put it like that, and they're most likely going to beat the crap out of you. Also, the other thing is there's also going to be dynamic weather, and this is important. Why? For instance, when it starts raining, you will actually see NPCs like running for shelter and stuff like that. If it gets really cold, you will see NPCs actually just trying to look for sources of warmth and stuff like that. And also, if it's a stormy weather, you most likely do not want to take a boat because there's high chances that you will actually crush into a rock and your ship is going to sink. Your boat is going to sink. And then you'll either have to swim or die. And who knows, maybe you can even get struck by lightning. But yeah, there's going to be dynamic weather, dynamic day-night cycles. I kind of like that. They did during the presentation. They did this thing where they just kind of fast forward the time, and it showed you like the day-night cycle thing going through, which I thought was really cool. And now let's talk a little bit about combat, because that's pretty much the last notes that I have. And while we're talking about combat, we're also going to be talking about something that was most likely one of my favorite features in the whole game, is the fact that monster hunting is now its own thing. Like, I mean, in Witcher 2, you could get these quests to actually go out and hunt monsters, but in Witcher 3, monster hunting is going to be its own thing. And I do mean its own thing, kind of like in the lines of Monster Hunter. Like, if you guys remember the game Monster Hunter, I've done some videos on that. I'm a huge fan of that particular franchise. And it's like, I mean, obviously it's not going to be exactly the same. Like, you're not going to be, hunting monsters and then getting materials and then upgrading and then, through that style. But there's going to be a lot of like looking for clues and stuff. Like, let's say you go to a village and a particular village is actually getting haunted by a monster or something, and you might have to figure out clues and figure out what's going down. There's going to be like a monster Wikipedia type thing in your interface where you'll be able to like look for clues about monsters and how to defeat them and stuff like that. And then you're also going to have something called the Witcher senses, which is going to allow you to like track down and hunt monsters. As a matter of fact, one of the things they've shown us is like you're fighting this one monster. I really don't want to describe him because it was a really cool looking monster. I mean, most of you are going to most likely watch this through other videos or whatever, but it's just I don't want to be the guy that like spoils games for other people. So I really want to avoid going into spoiler territory. But anyways, let's just say, okay, at some point in the game, they showed us that they were just exploring the world, and it was like, oh, there's these ruins over here, so let's go up to these ruins and see what's down there. And they get there, and there's like this monster, this pretty decent sized monster, and immediately they engage into a combat scene. So for starters, let's talk just a little bit about the combat before we actually go into the whole Monster Hunter aspect of it. Now, I believe I don't really remember how the combat in The Witcher 2 was. The thing is, the most thing that I did about Witcher 2, Witcher 2's combat, what I did was like I put all my skills into being an amazing swordsman, and I believe I was being mostly like a two-handed swordsman. I don't remember if there was any other choices now that I think about it. I think you were supposed to be able to dual wield or something, but I don't think I ever got into the whole dual wield thing because for whatever reason, I don't even think there was dual wielding now that I think about it, but whatever. I remember hearing about dual wielding and now my head was just like going around. But anyways, in Witcher 2, what I usually did was like I would grab my sword, I would pop, I think it was Quensign, because Quensign would just make this shield around you, and the shield also had thorns, and it was just really overpowered in my opinion. And what I did was just like, oh, I'm just gonna max out Quen and then max out sword skills and just kill everything. And I went through the whole game like that. It's like anything came at me, and I'm like, Quensign, so I'm shielded, and you take damage each time that you attack me, and I'll beat the crap out of you. And to be completely honest, I was inspired to do this by one of the boss fights that you actually have within the game. So I mean, you're fighting another Witcher in The Witcher 2, and that's what he does. He goes like Quensign, and each time you attack him, you take a beating, and he's also reducing damage, and he just beats the crap out of you with sword. Then I was like, oh, that seems like a solid tactic. I'm going to go ahead and do that. But anyways, switching right back to The Witcher 2. Now, what I was saying is that I don't remember to The Witcher 3. What I was saying is that I don't remember if in The Witcher 2 what the dodging was like, but I believe that you would just like tumble forward, the same way that you dodge in Dark Souls. And in this one, they're doing it differently. Like dodging in this game is actually more kind of like a little bit like dancing is the way that they put it, because kind of like a ballet move almost, because that. And by ballet, I don't mean like, the female type of ballet, but whatever. It's like, because they said that according to the way that the story is told in the Witcher novels, that is how Geralt of Rivia actually fought, like actual performing that the way that he would fight his enemies would be so acrobatic and stuff that it would almost look like he was making a dance with his sword. So that's the way that they did the dodging. So instead of like, rolling or something, what Geralt does when he dodges is he actually just does like this kind of a twirl thing. And it looks cool, trust me. It does not look like, it doesn't look like it's ballet, like I said. So it's whatever. It doesn't look like that. It's just like it's got its own style. I think you guys are going to enjoy it when you actually see it. So there's also obviously the same spell casting that you have in Witcher 2. You're going to be able to do some of those signs like Igni and stuff like that to do different kinds of spells like mind control, shield yourself, fire, and also the hard sign, which is like the telekinetic thing that allows you to just like push things over and knock barrels into people and stuff like that. There's also going to be a parrying mechanic, which I didn't really understand exactly how it worked because I don't know. I was looking at the combat and I couldn't figure out exactly when he was parrying. There's also going to be obviously melee combat. You're going to hit them with your sword and stuff. And obviously you're still going to have the iron sword for humans and the silver sword for monsters. And monsters themselves are going to have special powers, which, man, the special powers on the one monster that they fought were really cool. So that particular monster that Geralt was fighting, he had this one ability that he would do that would basically blind Geralt. So like everything would become, whoops, sorry about that. But everything would kind of become dark around Geralt, and he wouldn't really be able to he wouldn't really be able to see a whole lot further away, apart from just kind of like him and hints of where the monster was. And the cool thing about it is that they fight for a while, and it seems like Geralt is winning, and then all of a sudden, like the monster does the blinding attack, and it's like the monster just disappears. The monster goes away, and that's when the whole Witcher senses thing kicks in, and you have to use Witcher senses to track down the monster and track him back to his lair. And so that kind of just instantly becomes a side quest. Whether you do it or not will be completely up to you, as will the consequences of whether or not you do that quest will eventually play out throughout the game. And I just thought that was amazing. I loved it. I love the fact that you actually have to hunt these monsters down. And for different monsters, you're going to require different tactics. You're going to require different ways of tracking them down by using your Witcher senses and whatnot. You're going to have different ways to defeat them. Like during the presentation, one of the monsters was actually connected to a human within the village, and you have to kind of find out all this stuff by reading different things with your Witcher senses, which is really cool. Witcher senses can also be used to kind of figure out strategies to defeat the monsters that you're hunting down, because like for instance, again during the presentation, Geralt would be going to a stone, and he would see like that someone got impaled or something next to that stone, and there was just like blood everywhere, and he would like go there with his Witcher senses, and he'd be like, it seems that this monster is really strong. I probably should not try to parry him. So again, you just get tips on how to kind of engage in these monsters. And then you can also go to the monster Wikipedia thing that I told you about, and that thing is going to keep on ringing until I pick up the message. I'm going to have to apologize for that, but right now I'm doing a video, so fuck you, phone. Continuing onward, then you can go to the whole monster Wikipedia thing and kind of look up the different weaknesses of each monster that you've fought before and that kind of stuff. And it's just, the thing is, I have to admit, like, a couple of things that really excited me: the fact that it's now open world, the fact that it is a living and breeding world, that they kind of like do their own thing when you're not around there, the fact that every single choice that you make in a game has a consequence, like whether you didn't help these fishermen and now their village is like a piece of crap, or these people migrated north because whatever, they ran out of supplies where they were. It's just, I really love that kind of stuff. And then on top of that, there's the whole monster hunting thing. It's just like, oh my God, the monster hunting thing. You just like hunt down monsters and stuff. I mean, I can already tell one of the things I'm going to be doing all the time in Witcher 3 is just going to be like monster hunting, monster hunting, monster hunting. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that is pretty cool. Also, the conditions, as well as the weather conditions, as well as the day-night cycles, that stuff will also play into whether or not your conditions are optimal for defeating a monster. Just like the fact that whether or not that monster is linked to a certain human, which unless you do something about the human, the monster will just keep on coming back. I mean, I don't know, there was just like so much stuff that I just had to make this one video before I forgot about all the stuff that I saw at the presentation. I'm not sure if by the time this video goes up, if you will already have the interview on my channel or not. But either way, there's going to be also an interview coming to my channel. It was by John, what was his name? John Malaise, I think. I want to say John Malaise. I can't remember right now. It's just like so much stuff from E3 that is like, insane. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this particular video. Thank you very much for watching. Leave me your comments, feedback, all that kind of good stuff in the comment section below. And I will see you guys in the next one.
6 months into the invasion, Nilfgaard's legions had pierced the heart of the northern realms. Behind them, blood-soaked fields, war-swept wastes. A lone wolf roamed these broken lands, a beast slayer, a whirlwind of rage and steel. They say he was a man obsessed, chasing memories, faces, scents. Yet amidst the chaos, he could only follow his heart.
Some fight for glory, justice, or gold. I fight for those I hold dear. I'm Geralt of Rivia, the Witcher.